2023, La Rochelle retained the Champions Cup in an incredible finale. The Crusaders retained Super Rugby in a pretty predictable finale, and Eddie Jones wore this hat. But in amongst the highs, lows, and the mad little bits in between, this was a year in which some rugby was played by some people. And in order to celebrate the best of that rugby, it's time for this. The Squid Rugby Team of the Year 2023. And today we shuffle onto the centerpieces, the center folds, the gooey centers of the rugby chocolate egg that is the middlemen and the central women. It's time for the best midfield maestros, the finest centers of 2023. What happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object? For years, scientists, Batman villains, and stoned men alike have pondered this age-old question. But none of them, over all those years, have ever stopped to wonder about the next stage of evolution. What happens when an immovable object becomes an unstoppable force as well? Gabrielle Vernier made this team last year on the basis of being the best defensive centre in the entire world. Male, female, cat, dog, blue, green, who cares? She was utterly unbelievable. Despite being, and I'm not exaggerating this, I want your attention for what I'm about to say, let it sink in, 5'4" and 10 stone, she was one of the biggest hitters on the planet. Brilliant at aligning a defence, yes, but so good at smashing someone, literally at times 4 or 5 times her size. For Vernier, shutting down an attack and destroying a ball carrier who could pick her up and put her in her pocket if they wanted has always just been a little bit of fun. Her idea of a casual afternoon out, something that she could do that no one else in the world could do as well. But somehow, in the 4-month gap between the 2022 World Cup and the 2023 Six Nations, Vernier went from simply immovable to utterly unstoppable. Gabrielle Vernier went from being just the best defensive centre in the world to also being the best attacking centre in the game as well. France's key offensive weapon now, bursting holes and finding space constantly, scoring try after try and busting tackle after tackle, leaving you in a situation where you imagine she is now the only person capable of tackling herself. Named player of the Six Nations after a full campaign of ripping defences open and shoring up her own, it only got better this autumn when France ended World Champion New Zealand's 16-game winning run as she remained genuinely unplayable. For me, Gabrielle Vernier has been the best female rugby player on the planet this year, and in 2023, the best back of any gender or species out there. This has been the year of Vernier. Forget immovable or unstoppable. If there's one word that can describe Gabrielle Vernier, it's undeniable. Selecting the centres for the Team of the Year has never been as simple as it was in 2023. Just as Vernier has smashed women's rugby wide open, men's rugby was forced to reckon with a similar freak of evolution on career best form, delivering bish with an almost unheard of consistency. That man was, of course, Nick Tompkins. It wasn't Nick Tompkins, it was Bundy Archie. Archie started the Six Nations as Ireland's reserve centre, hauled off the bench in the opening 2 rounds before being given the 13 shirt against Italy, where a crucial try, right as the Italians were getting momentum, getting back into the game, kick-started not just an Irish win, but a burst of form from him on a personal note that will forever be intertwined with fans' memories of Ireland in 2023. A bouncing, bubbling, chicken-stealing, infectious joy off the pitch, Archie combines the birthright bosh his Samoan heritage gifts him with that exact passion and delight, exciting and able, and so willing to thrill and be thrilled by the game. Archie was standout in the Six Nations latter half and carried his form over into the other green shirt that he wears regularly recreationally. Key in Connacht's semi-final run, a try on international return then against England in the warm-ups was impressive, but this ludicrous assist for Keith Earls was the real headline in that game, as he nabbed the starting shirt for Ireland's first 2 games in the World Cup, which eventually turned into all 5. Because it was there that Bundy really excelled. Great against Romania and Tonga, but when backed against the box, Bundy delivered a man-of-the-match performance as Ireland defeated the world champions to be, the only man able to find space in the most claustrophobic of matches. And whilst Ireland may have come up short in the quarters, it wasn't for Bundy lackey of trying. That doesn't work at all. That pun does not work. Bundy scoring to keep Ireland in the game before nabbing 2 tries in 3 games on return to Connacht duty. Bundy went beast mode this year, and the rest of the sport was left merely in his slipstream. Honourable mentions, Tom, let's do this. Let's do honourable mentions. Vernier and Archie were pretty nailed on, but Geordie Barrett would have been up there as a very worthy inclusion, bringing plenty to the New Zealand attack, but his defence was where he really shone and helped guide New Zealand so cleanly to that final, whilst Rico Ioane also played some gorgeous rugby this year, a much more selfless, generous player than he was a year ago, just improving year on year, and their female counterparts were even more impressive somehow, displacing or replacing the outstanding World Cup winning combo of Fitzpatrick and Fluhler. Amy Duplessis was class as all heck at 13, while Sylvia Brunn at times was a near Vernier level of wrecking ball at 12 and in proper contention for this team. Jonathan Nanty, another one probably in contention, but, probably a cleaner run of injury away from really challenging for that, but he was brilliant, in brilliant form for France, and especially La Rochelle, where he guided them alongside Samoan centre partner Ujus Uteni to that Champions Cup final, which they then won. Taylor Gonteniek was sublime for Romania. Gary Ringrose ran Ireland's midfield extremely well, brilliant defensive player, and so slick with the ball in hand. Samu Karevi had a strong year for the Wallabies, despite, everything. But in the more successful Australian side, Georgie Fredericks, the iconic G-Fred herself, was utterly brilliant, sliding through defences and passes like such a classy centre. While the now infamous Hugh Pelotu combo, Hugh Jones and Sione Tuipulotu, tore it up for Scotland in Glasgow, particularly in the Six Nations. Captain Anders Villaseca was an utter rock for Uruguay. Kerrin Lake played some career-best rugby for Wales, brilliant in the Six Nations, and Fiji's Waisea Naisalevu combined those two ideas. A brilliant captain talismanic figure for the Flying Fijians at his utter best this year. So good. Portugal's own skipper, Thomas Appleton, maybe the only man as beautiful as Waisea, and his hair is just as strong somehow, was the glue binding Portugal together, whilst Pedro Betancourt was also fantastic for Los Lobos. Alex Tessier is one of the world's most skillful, silky players, and was near her best for Canada this year, as they really shone in the W15. Ollie Lawrence had a solid year in the England shirt, but when unleashed for Bath became something else, while Damien Diolande played his best rugby since 2015, but his much maligned centre partner, Jesse Creel, was even better. He was utterly brilliant. The box barely noticing the absence of Lucanio Bloody Am, one of the best rugby players on the planet, with Creel delivering some of the best defensive rugby at 13 you'll ever see. And you know what? I am going to mention him. The little Crown Prince of Chaos and Wrexham, Nick Tompkins, under Warren Gatland really clicked in the test shirt. As Rio Dyer put it, he's just so good at getting other people to whack him. A fearless decoy and rock solid centre who opened up Wales' playbook in this World Cup.
Bundy Aki going off his feet.